Hello and welcome to another channeling video. I'm really enjoying doing these and I love the questions that we have for today. These are all from the comment section of the last video and I thought these were both deep and insightful and meaningful, and my intention is that these will be healing, uplifting and meaningful for most of you, or all of you hopefully. So before I start, I do want to let you know that by now my channeling course that is coming up should be available for pre-purchase. So the standard price will be $499, but if you are an early bird and you want to get a better deal, then you can get it already for $149. Now this is a significant discount, and the payoff for that is that it's not going to be out until the 19th of February. So even if you buy it now, it's going to be until 19th of February until you can use it. However, there was going to be a 30-day money-back guarantee. So whether you purchase it now or later, if you're not happy for whatever reason, no questions asked, you can get your money back. So there's no risk involved. So what it will do is it's basically going to give you all of the powers and gifts that I have. It will give you not only the ability to do what I do, it will also give you the knowledge around it, how to use it, what to keep in mind when you're using it, what to keep in mind when you do readings for other people, what to keep in mind when you do readings for yourself. So it's quite an extensive course where I put everything that I know. It's not going to be too study focused. It's more like experience focused. So I'm going to help you out in terms of practicing this and getting comfortable with how Spirit speaks to you and finding your own way of communicating with Spirit. Now, this is something that Gnostics have been doing since the beginning of time. It's something that was very natural to us at one point. It's a natural gift that we have. It really is like a sixth sense. And when you have developed the sixth sense, it will be insane to you that not everybody has it. So for me, now that I'm used to using it, and have been for most of my adult life, it's really weird to me that other people can't do it. It's so simple, it's so easy, and I'm always like amazed that other people don't do it. So with this, you can have your own personal access to God. I try not to say God because everybody has a different idea of what God is and what God means. But it's it's the light. So I call it the light in terms of the goodness. All the blessings come from there. I feel like I'm not doing it justice by even addressing it or defining it in some kind of way. But it will be your personal connection to God, to Spirit. You can use it to channel people that have passed. You can use it to channel angels. You can use it to channel the voice of God. And a disclaimer there, when I use big words like God, God can speak in infinite ways, and God speaks to us in very personal ways. And I feel like it's already very controversial to say it this way, but it has been done by so many people. It has been done with all of our prophets and messengers in the major religions did this. That's how they got their knowledge. That's how they got their teachings. It has been done in modern times by Neil Donald Walsh in Conversations with God. It has been done by Abraham Hicks or Esther Hicks and Bashar channelings. It has been done so many times, and personally I find it extremely valuable. So if you want that special superpower, if you want that ability to strengthen yourself and find the answers when you need it, and if you're like me and you're inquisitive and you want to get to the bottom of things, I do recommend you to develop this super skill. So the discount is out now, and the course will be out on the 19th of February. Okay, so the questions that I have today, let's just get right into it, because you know how I can just talk and talk. I like to hear my own voice. These are all from the comment section. So thank you, and keep the questions coming, because for the next video, I'm going to need more questions. So if you have any questions that pop up from these questions or from whatever you've been thinking about, just write them down. These specific ones are my favorites from the comment section. So I hope they're going to be useful and enjoyable for you as well. Now, the first one is it possible to help depressed people? And if so, how? Yes and no. No, you cannot take them out of depression. And the reason for that is that they're in a process of finding themselves. They have been misled in their path of life, and they are fighting the confusion that comes with being on the wrong path. They were taught to believe that certain things were right, and these things clash with their path or their inner knowing. And depression is a symptom of feeling like you're not on the right path, you're not following your inner guidance. It's a process where they find their inner guidance. And the reason they didn't follow their inner guidance was that they were afraid it would bring them pain or suffering. But the depression itself is pain and suffering. And once they experience that, they will be willing to walk their path without fear of pain and suffering. What you can do to help them is to understand, show tolerance, and love on them. You can be a loving presence in their life. Allow them to be depressed if they need to. So what should we not do if somebody's depressed? Do not blame them for it, or make them feel like there's something wrong with them or they're doing something wrong. They need total acceptance and complete tolerance for where they are. It's not who they are. The depression is not who they are. They are in the process of getting back to who they are. What are the specific ways we can help them? Acts of loving kindness. You can bring them food. You can be around them. Just have a loving presence around them. And you can help them feel totally accepted in their depression, where they are. That will strengthen their inner knowing. That will strengthen their path, because they will know that they are good enough without having to do or be anything in particular, and that they are loved as they are. And that will give them a gentle strength to stay true to who they are, and it will give them courage to be who they are. It may not radically change their process, but it will be helpful. I want to ask, so what do we do? What do we do with our own feelings of, when we feel upset about what someone is going through? So what do we do with our own? How do we cope with it if somebody that we love is depressed? Know that you don't necessarily have the correct answers. What may seem to you as the right path for them, what may seem to you like they're doing something wrong, you have to know that you could be wrong about that. And trust that God is taking care of it. Usually when that deep breath comes, it means like that was the end of the message. Okay, so we'll just move on then. Okay, next question is, how can empaths protect themselves from psychic attacks? This is a good question because this is something that I have struggled with a lot. Psychic attacks and energy leakage. So how can empaths protect themselves from psychic attacks? By not caring too much about what other people think, by not being too focused on other people, by putting their focus back to themselves, because where they put their focus and their attention is what they give strength to. When they put this energy and focus on themselves, they strengthen themselves. What they are not paying attention to will not have power over them. What about energy leakage? Energy leakage comes from your intention a sense of feeling responsible for other people, and your intention towards other people. When your intention is that you have to do something or give something to other people, then that gives your power away to other people. Even when the intention is good, you are giving your power away. So what's the remedy for that? How do we deal with that? Your only power is within yourself. You can empathize with people, but know that you have no power to help them unless your energy and focus and attention is with yourself. You have no power to help them by giving them of yourself. You have to flourish in yourself, and that will benefit them too. It will benefit anybody who is receptive to it. And it's not your call to decide who is receptive to it. You have to focus more on yourself and not depend too much on other people's happiness. That was a deep breath again. I guess I'll just move on then. I thought it might go a little deeper. Let's see. At this time, I do want to allow the questions to go deeper if there is a need for it, because I know that sometimes I've just been moving on from question to question and not having the time really to dig deeper, which I feel would have been more meaningful. But then when Spirit is done, they're done. So I'll just respect that. Next question is, how can men get in touch with their emotions? How can men get in touch with their emotions? They first have to feel worthy of inner beauty. They have to feel worthy of feeling good. They have to feel like they deserve to have inner joy and contentment, and just allow positive emotions to exist within them. Many men do not feel allowed. They have internalized messages about men having to be tough, which means to many people that they are not allowed to feel gentle, loving, soft emotions, which makes them very hard on themselves, and it makes their inner world very cold. And it's from this place of inner cold that they relate to other people and can come off and even be insensitive, because they feel like their world is insensitive. To them, it's not a factor to consider if something is hurtful to their feelings. They disregard their feelings a lot, and therefore expect other people to disregard their own feelings as well. And they may be taken aback when somebody is hurt by their words or actions. They may be taken aback that some other people, particularly women, do not allow that coldness in their heart. So how can men be more in touch with their emotions? They have to allow themselves to feel warm feelings inside. They have to allow themselves to feel, to have feelings, and allow themselves to feel hurt, and not allow messages from the outside to hurt their feelings. They can respond to these things in masculine ways without being cold. They do not have to respond the same way that women do. They can do this in a masculine way, but they do have to protect their hearts. I feel like it's more there. Do you have any guidance for men in terms of emotional healing? Men carry a lot of emotional pain and hurts. They carry more of the minor hurts than women do, because with the minor hurts, women will process them whereas men generally won't. And so they carry these hurts around. It could be some words that were said or some actions from other people that hurt their feelings, and they will not speak up, and they will just pretend like it didn't affect them because they feel that is what makes them masculine. So what should they do instead? When minor things hurt their feelings, they need to speak up and protect themselves, protect their boundaries, and say how they feel, knowing that it does not make them weak. It does not make them weak to protect their boundaries and say that something was hurtful to them or that something didn't sit right with them. This is not a weakness. It is a sign of emotional health. Men know that they too are emotional beings, but they feel very restricted in our society. They feel like they are not allowed to protect their emotional world. But in order to have a healthy emotional life, they have to. And this will dramatically impact their close relationships. Men who are not able to protect their emotional world have a lot of difficulties in their close relationships. They unintentionally hurt their loved ones, and they are unable to receive the love and care that is offered to them by their loved ones. But in order to be healthy and happy, they need to be receptive to this love, and they need to acknowledge their emotional world. If they do this, their emotional world and their close relationships will be manyfold more fulfilling. They will be much stronger, much more powerful, and more able to fulfill the expectations as a man that come from society. They will be better in their masculine role because they will have more strength and power. They will be able to manifest better. They will sense their personal power more. They will be able to achieve a lot more in society if they have a healthy emotional life. But it starts with the abuse that they have internalized from the messages of society, the toxicity of your society is now their inner voice. And they are carrying on this emotional abuse inside of themselves, towards themselves. And it's limiting them in terms of what they are able to achieve in life, in terms of goals and careers and relationships. If they are able to overcome this and allow themselves to be loved and feel emotions, they can achieve their maximum strength and power. And in this society, in this context, they will be head and shoulders above the average man. In terms of achievements, strength, power, and fulfillment in relationships and in life in general. What do men need from women? What do men need from women? Faith and trust. Women have trust issues towards men. Women have misinterpreted and misunderstood men a lot. If women approach men with a knowing that you are different, but a willingness to understand things from a man's point of view, and respecting the differences, but understanding that they come from a good place, then men will feel this respect. They will feel that they are respected and accepted for who they are. And they will be inclined, they will want to give more to these women who understand and respect them. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. Next question is a big one, but it's amazing. Now, it wasn't worded this way, but I think it's a big question, so we'll see what we get. What is the deal with racism? Now, this one really grinds my gears. I get very easily provoked about racism. So, what is the deal with racism? Spirit, what do you have to say about racism? Okay, so I just want to say a disclaimer. Whatever comes may not be my personal point of view, but I'm willing to hear Spirit's point of view. And I want you guys to see what Spirit has to say. I want to give like an open platform to see what Spirit has to say, whether or not we agree. Okay. What is the deal with racism? Don't assume it goes very deep. People have prejudice, yes. Most of you do have prejudice to some extent, some more than others. It's never really about the people that it's aimed at. It's never really about what it seems to be about. when you are at the receiving end of racism, you tend to assume that it's about your entire being, because you identify so deeply with your outer differences, your superficial differences. And neither side can see that you are all the same. You are like cakes of different flavor. You're all cake. You're all wonderful and delicious. But you may have different flavorings. But you identify so much with your flavoring rather than being the cake that this becomes much deeper to you when you're at the receiving end of it than what it actually is from the people who are the racists. So what is it like for the people who are racist? First of all, racism is like an iceberg. Some people will be openly racist, but vast amounts of people, much, much more than the openly racist, harbor racist feelings and beliefs. These beliefs give them a sense of comfort in their own worth as human beings. When they don't feel like they are worthy enough in who they are, that their existence in itself makes them worthy, they need something to fall back on. And racism gives them that at least because of this, I have some value as a human being. Therefore, it's not really about the people that the racism is aimed towards. It's never really about them. It is a comfort to the racists to feel like they have some value or worth based on this one thing. If they don't have that, they are not sure that there is anything about them that is particularly worthy. They believe that there must be attributes that make them worthy rather than being worthy just by existing. The whole notion of human value being based on attributes is in itself a statement that one believes that no human being is valuable as they are, for who they are, just by existing. That will tell you a lot of how these people view themselves and people in general. They don't believe in the innate value of just existing and being a human being. This will affect their entire life, and their racist beliefs are just one expression of this sense of unworthiness, their own unworthiness and other people's unworthiness. So what about the people who are at the receiving end of racism. Oftentimes, spiritually, they are in a stronger position, because if they can recognize racism and they recognize that it's wrong and that it does not feel good, every time they experience it, it will be a reminder to them about their worthiness as human beings, that they deserve a basic sense of worth for just existing. It strengthens them in their own value, because every time they are faced with these beliefs, they have to be reminded of their worth as human beings. And they're very strong in their beliefs that they are worthy. And the more they face the racism, the stronger they become in their belief in their worthiness. The frustration is that as worthy as they feel, their circumstances do not correspond to the worthiness that they feel. They know they are worthy, but the circumstances don't understand it. And that's the frustration. Okay, so how do we deal with racism? What can we as a society do? It may sound cliche, but the racists deserve your pity. It is a very shallow thing. It is a very pointless issue that these people have allowed to take place in their minds. They deserve pity for this waste of their time, for this small-mindedness. It's a place of weakness. They could be loving themselves. They could be feeling worthy. They could be putting their focus on beautiful things. And the fact that they chose to focus on this, it's sad and it's pitiful. Most people will not want to extend their sympathy or empathy to these people. But remember, most of you harbor prejudice that you get from your TV, not only in terms of race, but in terms of people that are different to you. And also to races that are not white or black. Most of you don't consider that at all as a part of the race discussion. Racism towards Asian people is, for most of you, okay, because you don't consider that racism. There are just about every race outside of black or white, European descent, or African descent. Just about every other race faces racism, or at least a lot of prejudice that nobody recognizes as racism. Because even with this issue, you only address it in the way that your news outlets tells you to. You are only focused on this the way that other people tell you to focus on it. Wow. That's amazing. So what else about race? What else do we need to know about racism? So how do we deal with it on a personal level? On a personal level, how do we deal with racism on both sides? Know that we all have a tendency towards it. When you say racism, people think of expressed, clear racism. But we all have a tendency towards prejudice, racial prejudice. This goes for all people. No race is exempt from this. As long as your personal prejudice is okay by society, you tend to not question it. So if you have prejudice against any other race other than black people, then you're comfortable in your prejudice because the news didn't tell you that it's wrong. So what about if you're on the receiving end of racism and prejudice? Do not base your value on what other people think of you based upon your attributes. Your race or ethnicity is a very shallow thing to base your identity on. It's only your outer layer. Even the cultural or ethnic attributes are only shallow attributes. What really makes you you is your unique way of looking at the world. And in that sense, we are all unique. You may be drawn to your own race or ethnic group because of convenience or ease or sharing of some common views or points of view. But in the contact with other people, you are all unique. Okay, so how do we deal with the frustration and the hurt of facing racism or being exposed to racism towards ourselves? Know that humanity has a long way to go in terms of spiritual enlightenment. You are still very young spiritually. Know that spiritually, People are not capable of doing better yet, but they are learning. You cannot expect a child to understand what an adult understands. The more you focus on your unique qualities, that which makes you you, the less you will be hindered by racism or discrimination in your circumstances. The more you see yourself as an individual, the less you will be affected in your daily life by racism. The more you make race a minor issue or a minor difference, the more you view people as unique individuals, the less race will play a part in your reality. That's fantastic. I've actually seen that happen. That's really cool. Okay, so how can we make race less of a thing in our minds? Spirit is saying they answered that. Okay. That's funny. And I'm like answering something. They're like, we're not answering because we already told you. Okay. So they already answered that. So let's move on to the last question. How do you heal if you are a narcissist? So if you know you have narcissistic tendencies or not, how do you heal? Love, 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 love is the first thing. How? Make a conscious effort to love other people. However you need to do it. If you need to do it by feeling love for people from a distance, for people that you don't know, start there. Or if you need to start with a child who is easy to love, start there. Develop your love muscle. Allow yourself to love. Try to love without wanting something in return. It will feel great. What else can you do to heal if you're a narcissist? When you know the feeling of loving somebody else without wanting anything in return, then you can understand how you were not loved that way, not because you didn't deserve it, not because you're not worthy, but because your caretakers were unable to allow that wonderful feeling in their hearts. You will know that it's no fault of your own. Try to love other people. You can. Wow, it seems like narcissists can do that. That's what I mean. Is that the case? Can narcissists all do that? They can love without expecting anything in return. They can. It's the most basic human quality or ability. Everybody can do that. Everybody's capable of doing that. But they may not be in the habit of doing that because nobody modeled that behavior for narcissists. Nobody showed them that that's an option. So how do you heal from narcissism? Narcissists will really enjoy the feeling of loving others without expecting anything in return. But close relationships are a different thing. They may struggle when somebody shows qualities that they don't like, and they may want to withdraw their love if they see qualities they don't like. So how do they heal? By loving others and allowing themselves to be loved. They can slowly learn to increase their capacity to love someone even when they're not being easy to love. And even with their narcissistic tendencies, if they can learn to love genuinely, not learn to love, but learn to practice the habit of loving. If they can learn to practice that habit, then they will be surrounded by the people who will love them despite of their occasional narcissistic behaviors. And they will be accepted for who they are. Any guidance to narcissists? You have suffered, and it's not your fault. But it's possible for you to allow beauty in your heart and love in your heart. It's possible for you. And you won't suffer as much. Okay, that was the last question. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it gave you a bit more depth than we usually get with these fast-paced channelings. I found this very, very enlightening. Very enlightening. And a last reminder that, not last reminder, but the channeling course is going live on February 19th. And it will give you the ability to do what all of the prophets from the beginning of time have done, to channel messages from Spirit, to get guidance from the light, from God. It's the same thing that Neil Donald Walsh did in his book series, Conversations with God. It's the same thing that Esther Hicks does with Abraham Hicks. It's the same thing that Bashar channelings do. It's the same thing that any medium does. If you feel like you're drawn to this superpower, to this sixth sense, and to this ability to get spiritual guidance whenever you need it, then this course might be right for you. And that's why we have an early bird major discount. So the standard price is $499. You can get it now for $149, which is the equivalent of one personal reading from me, a recorded reading of 30 minutes at the same price, $149. The price of that, you can get this whole superpower to strengthen your personal communication with God. No words can express how meaningful I find it. So if you want that, it's a good time now before it goes live. When it's live, it will be up to its standard price. And there will be a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you're not happy for whatever reason, if you just change your mind, whatever, then you get your money back. No questions asked. There's literally no risk involved for 30 days. So thank you so much. Take care. Bye.